So yeah, what about if we got the license on, like you got your code EC or you got your code C? So now how do you get a job? Even if you got your code C1 or you got a code EC1, how are you going to get a job? So because of insurance, um, and also employers have, it's their valuable assets. They asking for 2 to 3 years experience, and that's a bit tough to have if you've just got your license. So I watched some videos of guys in America and England and what they were saying. Some of them said just, you know, don't apply for the jobs that's asking for the experience. Apply for jobs where they're just asking for a driver with that code of driver's license. And you might have to drive. The one guy said, the tracks that's not in the best condition. You might have to drive, um, the rubbish dirt trucks until you get experience. Almost take any job you can get, even if they maybe don't speak to you in a very good way. It's not a very professional environment. Just to gain the experience, it might be an option. Otherwise, if you're young enough, there's learnership programs. If you leave school, there's learnership programs. You don't even need to have even a car license, and you can get into a company if you apply, like a bus company, a truck company, on a learnership program. They take you through your learner's license to your truck driver's license and help you gain experience and possibly give you a full-time job. So that's why I've also bumped into general workers who are assistants on trucks. They like the you know the the laborers on the truck, the assistants to the truck driver, and then the employer send them on truck driving training, which is the employer. That's the thing. You want a learnership, or you want employers to pay for your truck driving, because it is quite expensive. You can do it privately, and you can gain experience in various ways, but it's probably, if you're under a certain age, let's say in your 20s, it's probably going to be the best way to go to get on a truck as a general worker or as an assistant, and to gain experience like that. Those guys learn very fast. Maybe at some point the drivers give them a chance to drive when they've got a learners for a truck or a bus. And maybe it's not always legal, but maybe the driver just wants to have a rest on a long road, and he lets the assistant that's got a learner's drive. So by the time that learner goes and does truck driving or bus driving lessons, he's already like 1,000 steps ahead, and it's easy, and he uses very little lessons to pass. And it costs the company very little. Maybe companies know this is happening, but otherwise, you are looking at between 20 to 40 or 20 to 50 lessons to pass your articulated truck license, the code EC in South Africa and anywhere in the world. I've seen in other countries they got packages for 100 lessons. I'm like, what is that all about? But I think, it's safe to say, I think you can do it on 20 lessons, but it's safe to say 30, 30 plus lessons, between 30 and 40 lessons is probably preferable. By that time, you will feel you're a truck driver. You'll feel you can do this. Of course, there's always going to be something to learn. But 20 lessons, even if you pass, that's quite green. It would be nice to have a bit more lessons. But as I say, those guys that are general workers that learn on the trucks, they probably only going to need like maybe 5 or 10 lessons, because they got to master the observations and that as well. But yeah. So what's the hardest thing is the alley docking and turning in intersections. Okay, so those are the two major things to learn, because everything else you can learn pretty fast. And your observations, you got to make it second nature, so you got to practice even when you're driving your car. So okay, so getting back to the initial point about experience, yeah, these various ways, like we said. Okay, so now let's say if you didn't do a learnership and you weren't an assistant on a truck, then you know apply to be an assistant on a truck. But if you don't want to be the guy that packs and loads and everything, then you can do it privately only, but it's going to cost you. Okay. So in South Africa, it's like roughly 400 to 450 Rand a lesson. By the time you watch this video, it might already be on 500 or 550 a lesson. And then you got to multiply that depending on your experience. Have you been on a truck before? Have you been assistant on track? No. Um, you've done no learnerships or whatever. I would say, look, I've seen my son Ali Doc in a test on about 18 lessons, 17, 18 lessons. That is natural. Not that we're born truck drivers, but that's almost like natural spatial awareness and like a natural talent coming through there on 17 lessons, 17, 18 lessons. I'd been driving for cars for 37 years. I've moved trucks around in yards before at Cape Town Airport and so on, and but not truck and trailer. So when it came to truck and trailer, I needed I needed between 30 and 40 lessons. That reminds me of something else I need to tell you. The reason why I used about 40 lessons, but I'm a better driver because of it. I learned on 4 different trucks. The best is to learn on one truck if you want to pass quickly. The best to gain experience, wide experience, broader experience, is 4 trucks. So you're driving different gearboxes. Some has got a split, some doesn't have a split. So you want to learn that. And you get different size trailers. So the one driving school had a 6-meter trailer. The other driving school had a 9-meter trailer. I even measured the one trailer wondering, isn't this a 10-meter trailer, because it was so long. Anyway, my point is, if you want to pass quickly and with the least amount of lessons, you want to use one driving school and one truck. Yeah, get used to that truck. Choose the best driving school that people refer you to, that's closest to you. Yeah, that's another challenge, closest to you. If you live in a rural area, you might find that the closest decent truck driving school could be an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours away from you, and that means a round trip of 4 hours to get home. That means plenty petrol, and so you have to do like 2 or 3 lessons a day when you go. More than that, I think it becomes too taxing on the mind to concentrate. You can try it. I kind of was like quite exhausted when I was learning on 3 lessons. 2 lessons, if they say we're going to go on a truck now for 3 hours, that's a bit tough. I would say 2 hours, and then 1 hour later, okay, have a break and have 1 hour later, or have an hour on the truck, rest, have an hour, rest, and have an hour. Otherwise, you're concentrating, because it's all concentrating, because it's all new to you, and it's quite. I know people say no, man up about it, but you want to get the most value for your money. But having said that, when you are learning, what happens is you actually got to learn a bit per day, because it's like anything you learn. If you did 8 hours on one day of something, your progress is not going to be as fast as 2 hours each day to reach 8 hours. Because when you sleep, that's when you grow. Your brain rewires then. So this is all about muscle memory. So you do your 2 hours, you sleep, you come back the next day, you do again a few hours, and you do this, and your mind rewires, and you become a truck driver like that. Same with bodybuilding, lifting weights. They got to lift weights for, let's say, a half an hour, 45 minutes. They got to go rest. Then they got to do a different body part the next day. So yeah, learn different things. Like you can't, you got to focus on alley docking and turning in intersections, but obviously you got to do other stuff as well. Like you can't just do alley docking. You also got to go on the road, because if you pass alley docking and hill pull-offs, you got to go on the road. So you got to have a balance there. But your focus, if you had to do trailers, your focus must be on alley docking. And okay, obviously you got to learn hill pull-off. I mean, that's a given. Your alley docking, most critical skill, alley docking at an angle. We're not talking like some other countries. I hear they don't even alley dock at an angle in a test. You got to learn to alley dock at an angle. and then turning in intersections, turning broad enough that your trailer doesn't go over lines. And the reason for that is so that you don't knock other vehicles and even pedestrians. Okay, so you got to learn that and learn how to use your left mirror when you look down to see how far you are from the edge there, and so on. There's a lot of things you'll pick up, but yeah, alley docking, most critical. That's the one that caused me to take so long to pass code EC. So if you want to get a driver's license quicker, code C is the one. You can even do your lessons on code EC with a truck and trailer, and then after like 5 or 10 lessons, you can try and make an appointment. If you've been driving cars, you could even pass on 5 to 10 lessons with code C, if you got your observations right. And so you make an appointment and you try and see if you can pass code C. That's a quick win. Code C. You're driving rigid body. That's for cement trucks, luxury buses. Um, it is for those biggest rigid body trucks, and you can drive anything smaller, of course, any smaller trucks, medium, small trucks as well. But that's a quick win, and that's what I did because I was doing code 4. I go again there. I was doing code EC, and I saw now I'm failing on the alley docking, so I said, okay, let's take this trailer off and let me see if I can actually pass a test. Let me do code C. Let me see if I can actually pass a test. I can always come back the next day or next week or whenever to carry on with code EC. So I passed like that. And you know what? It also takes pressure off you when you go for your code EC tests in the future to know, listen, I have a truck bus license. I've got a very decent truck bus license, code C. It's 16 tons, 30 tons, 32 tons, whatever. Code C can cover it in a rigid body truck or bus, right? So it's great. So that's a quicker win, and it lets you see that your observations and what it takes. If you pass your yard, what it takes to drive on the road. Can you pass the road test with your observations? Where do you need to improve in it? I think code C is an option. But if you say no, you've already got a code C1, or you've already got a car license, and you're not interested in C1 or code C, then you carry on with code EC. If you've got the money for it and you're doing it privately, then you continue. So you could potentially, because of the trailer and having to pass angled alley docking, you could do up to 50 lessons before you pass. You could be on 17 lessons, 20, 25, 30, 32, 40, 45, 50 lessons, but it's within that range. You can pass. You can if you put in the effort, you can pass your code EC. I would say on average between 25 and 40 lessons, but never give up. If you go past that range, just don't give up, because if you've gone that far, but that's what I'm saying. If you're going too far, it's so cheap. It's only 200 Rand or something to do code C, to make a test at the traffic department. You might pay 1,000 Rand. You can get deals where you pay 1,000 Rand. If you've taken a package with your driving school, you pay 1,000 Rand to hire the truck for the test, right? And then you got code C. I think if you're starting to do a lot of lessons and you're not confident on your alley docking, yeah, I would just so you've got something. After all that effort, if you the risk is you give up and you walk away with nothing. That's not. If you ever give up on code EC for the meantime, do the code C. You will find it very easy. After doing all that lessons on code EC, I blasted through code C. You obviously got to be, you got to concentrate. You got to do your thing, but it's when I take a trailer off, code C is a walk in the park. I'm telling you. Then you go for it. And then you'll see when you pass code C, you'll be like, I want to finish code EC one day. So yeah, that's my point on that. And what else can we say about the experience? Oh yeah. Okay, so I found now I was turned down all those corporate companies turn me down because of insurance, and they may be spoiled for choice because there's so many drivers coming to them with experience that, and because I didn't know anybody in those companies, I just like took a wild chance. I There is like that one guy in America said you can just drive the crappiest of trucks and the rudest of employers, drive their trucks, gain experience. And then what was the other thing they said? Yeah, you use recruiters. You don't apply for jobs that are demanding experience. You apply for jobs that just needs a driver. And I found there's a strong possibility that on farms in South Africa seems to be willing to give drivers a chance. I'm looking at a possibility. I'm going for an interview this week, but I'm looking at a strong possibility that I could be driving a truck for a farmer in the yeah, where I live in the Overberg. So yeah, it looks like that is the way to go. The smaller companies, they don't have as many trucks. They maybe have one or two or three trucks, and they just need a driver. If they're happy with you in the interview and you can show them on their farm that you can handle the truck, then what they said to me is they will start me on a smaller load, like because this truck has a flatbed on it, so they're going to load that flatbed. They're not going to put the trailer on. So I'm going to drive a code C truck, and I'm going to go to deliver that. Right, I come back after a few of those loads. They're going to say, okay, this guy can do it. Then they're going to put the trailer on. Maybe they're not going to put it at 30 tons yet. Maybe they're going to do half that loads. I come back successful with that. Maybe a few trips like that. They're going to say, okay, let's load this truck now, 30 tons. The man is experienced. Obviously, they're going to tell me, take it easy uphill, take it easy downhill. Use your gears to go downhill so you don't burn the brakes out. Don't overheat the brakes. Use your gears to go downhill, and take your bends slowly so that the load doesn't topple over. It's not a high center of gravity when you got weight that's stacked high like that. You've got to go around. You can't forget this. You see, you've got to be, and I'm lucky. I don't drink alcohol. I don't smoke. So, but alcohol is the big thing. Everyone or most people drink alcohol. So, I think you're going to have to look at maybe giving that up. Going to have to be a rare occasion that you drink. I think a truck driver you're going to have to be fresh every day. You're going to have to be alert and sharp. You're going to be driving weight. So I would say be very careful about that alcohol story. I'm very glad I don't drink alcohol. Doesn't taste good to me one bit. Tastes like poison to me. But anyway, if you like it, I think you're gonna have to slow down on that stuff, yeah. Especially as a truck driver, any driver. Actually, anybody that's got a full-time job. I mean, how can you be drinking a lot? You got to be so careful. Anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna leave you with that thoughts. And also, guys, speak to people. That's what happened to me. I spoke to people by chance, just telling somebody what I had done, and they said, you know what? I know somebody that's looking for a driver. I actually came across two guys like that. Two people I know. They're not friends, but we know each other. We like, how can I say, acquaintances. We know each other. And they said to me, we're like friendly acquaintances. And they said to me, oh, they know two guys. Not their friends necessarily. One was his friend. Other guy is just somebody he knows or he's worked for. And that's how sometimes knowing somebody and saying, I got your number through so-and-so. He told me you need a driver. And then, try and say something to put yourself in a positive light. See if you can, if they don't respond to your WhatsApp or, on a working day in the morning, give them a call and see if they still need a driver, if they're open to the idea. Maybe now they say they've filled the post, keep the number. In the future, you call that number again, maybe by the next harvest season, etc. But yeah, just keep trying, okay? Just don't give up, because when you've got a code C and you've got a code EC driver's license, it's a powerful driver's license. It's guys, value it, be proud of it, be confident, and let's go forward, okay? And enjoy careers driving trucks and buses. Oh, here's the other thing. When you've got enough experience on the trucks, um, doors could also open on luxury buses. Okay, just remember that. Yeah, and that's also. I don't think pigeonhole yourself. You're only a truck driver or you're only a bus driver. You got the license to drive both, and why not gain experience on both of them? So yeah, cheers. Good luck.